Welcome back to MANinaCUBE. I am your host, Arisheh, and today we are shifting our focus to one of the most critical, yet often overlooked aspects of the AI revolution, leadership. We hear a lot about the technology itself, the models, the infrastructure, and the massive investments. But at the end of the day, technology does not implement itself. It is people who use it, and it is leaders who must guide those people through the transition. Right now, leaders across every industry are facing a unique challenge. They are being asked to drive productivity, create real business value, and integrate AI into their daily operations, all while managing teams that might feel overwhelmed, skeptical, and even threatened by these new tools. This is especially true for customer-facing and delivery organizations. How do you empower a team of experienced professionals to embrace AI without losing the human touch that your customers trust? How do you separate the actual business value from the endless hype? And most importantly, what does effective leadership actually look like in this new era? To help us answer these questions, I am joined today by a fantastic guest who lives this topic every single day. Simon Hill is a senior technology executive based here in Dubai. He has spent years leading large customer-facing and delivery organizations, building high-performing teams, and figuring out how to get the best out of people in fast-changing environments. He knows what it takes to drive real execution at scale, and he brings a very practical, no-nonsense perspective on how leaders should be thinking about AI. In today's episode, we are going to explore how AI is changing the way customer-facing teams work, where the biggest productivity gains actually are, how to help experienced professionals embrace these tools positively, and the biggest mistakes leaders are making right now. Simon, welcome to MANinaCUBE. Let me start with you on this first question. Customer-facing and delivery teams are on the front lines of any business. They talk to clients every day, they solve problems, and they carry the reputation of the company they represent. These teams have been doing things a certain way for so many years, and now AI is kind of entering their world. So the question is how this actually changes things for them. As a leader today, how do you see AI changing the way customer-facing teams work, from their daily tasks to how they engage with clients?
Thanks, Emma, and it's good to join you. So I think my first view would be that it's very much around scalability. So AI gives us that ability to scale that we haven't had previously. So when you're in a customer-facing role, your time is precious. You have many, many different things to look at. You have many different pressure points, and you struggle to actually provide the scale that you need to do the role. I think AI gives you that. If you think about the amount of data we as an organization or organizations have that we previously have been unable to harness, huge amounts of data, lots of volume, lots of important information within that data, but no real way of being able to take that data and pull out the pieces that you need quickly, effectively, and leverage that data. I always joke that whenever you have a problem, it doesn't matter what that problem is. The answer in an organization is we'll build you a dashboard, and you are lost in dashboard after dashboard after dashboard. Most of the links to those dashboards don't work, and you can never find the information you want, so on and so forth. I think AI really gives us that ability to be able to get to the data very easily and use it in an effective way. If you think of an example, legal teams or advisory consultancy companies, they will always have a principal in front of their customer. So that principal is then responsible for being the front end, talking to a customer. And in the back end, there is a team of people that are there to pull together all the data, all the collateral, all the information that their principal needs to deliver to that customer. AI can really help there. It can reduce that burden. It can get you to the point where a lot of that information is at your fingertips. Doesn't mean that you need a smaller team. It just means that that team can do more. But AI can give you a lot more in-depth, real-time analysis, cutting-edge analysis that can then be built into responses that go to a customer. And I think it's the same for any organization, any business. The same principles apply. From my business, telecoms, We have customer facing teams. It goes right the way across the life cycle. It doesn't matter where in the life cycle we are looking. There is benefits to be gained from AI, whether it's in the sales process where you've got data you've got data relevant to your customers where you can analyze what your customers are looking for, where they want to go with their business. You can use AI to do that, through to implementation, being able to use AI to really help simplify the implementation process, make sure you're getting it right first time, get out some of the human error that can come into implementation. Moving away from the cookie cutter type of approach that we have in the past, where engineers will simply just take the last similar project that they did and change the names and kind of deliver again. I think AI gives you far more up-to-date information, up-to-date analysis to enable that implementation to happen better. And the same works for the customer success piece when you're driving adoption, whether you're working on optimizing the solution, whether you're working in the renewals element. It's about taking that data and providing real consistency of information quickly at your fingertips that you can then leverage to improve the response that's going back to your customer.
I like the point that you raised around when subject matter experts in the past wanted data, they had to go to specialized teams. These specialized teams needed to go and pull out the data, analyze it, send them back to them. I think AI is closing the gap on this problem today, and the subject matter experts are able to go use their knowledge directly and expertise to get the right AI data or the right data they want, and then use AI to create meaningful outputs that help them in their day-to-day work. And this is something great. This is something we didn't have in the past, and now AI is enabling this. So putting AI in the hands of customer-facing teams is one thing, as you mentioned, but you also touched on the points around the productivity and the productivity gains that these teams can get out of AI. As we know, everyone talks about AI making us faster or more productive, but when you are working on complex technology solution, it is not always clear where the extra speed actually comes from. Is it how we prepare? Is it how we hand things over between teams? Or is it how we solve problems when something breaks? Where do you think AI can create the biggest productivity gain for teams working on complex technology solutions?
Repeatable tasks
Mhm.
would be my kind of first thought. Anything that you are doing on a regular basis that you can see the benefit of AI simplifying that process, then that is the area you should really focus on. Now, I think today there is a challenge that we're still very much in AI infancy from how we deal with it as an organization. And I think we're in that phase where we are doing AI for AI's sake. We're not necessarily drilling down on where am I going to get the business benefit from, and then reporting back on the benefits that are actually received. Today, it's let's just do AI for everything, and let's record and report that AI is saving us lots and lots of kind of time and effort everywhere, and it's the world is a wonderful place. I think we're at that stage at the moment, whereas we really need to narrow down and say, okay, what business challenge are we actually trying to improve, and then take AI and build it into our day-to-day processes. If we're just doing AI for AI's sake, then we're not really benefiting from it. If we weren't, if it wasn't for AI and we weren't doing that particular AI use case, would it still make a difference? Would we still need to do that use case? You have to ask that question. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we didn't need it. We're just doing it because AI is there and we think we should do it. You have to really drill down and say, okay, where are we really needing AI? And it can be through anything. It can be, in the development phase, it can be coding, it can be debugging, it can be testing, anything that's repeatable, that's really going to leverage the best of AI, then that's the area where I would focus first. And that's the same with any part of the organization. In delivery, it's how do you provide intelligent data to your customers a lot simpler, a lot easier. There's always been a conundrum about how do you provide a good report to your customer about the value that you receive as an organization, that you deliver as an organization. And I think for many years, we've gone over and over this battle of kind of what should we be including within that report to the customer about how you delivered your service, what's important to them. Quite often we get pulled down into low-level data elements of, providing how many cases have you dealt with for a customer? What priority were they? How long did it take to solve those cases? But it doesn't talk to the business value that you've driven for your customer. Whereas I think AI can pull the data a lot easier once you've set up the prompts to actually do that, to actually give you something that you can share with your customer very fast, very easy, very beneficial to the customer, and really focus more on the ROI that the customer is getting from the contract that they have with you as a provider. So it's about looking at each element of the life cycle and thinking about, where do I really need AI? Don't try and force it. Just think about, where can I get the most value from it? And it's usually the repeatable tasks.
Yes. And I think defining that use case that can lead to these repeatable tasks, it's really the right step. Maybe some organizations think it's just easy. We can think about it and do it straight away. While the reality is, leaders need to influence their teams to set, maybe have meaningful discussions, try to brainstorm these tasks that take most of their time and effort on daily basis or weekly basis. And as you said, just take it, let AI help you to automate it, let AI help you to drive insights out of it, and go focus with your time on something else, right? Something that gets you more productivity, that can help you as a professional and then help your organization overall. And this leads me to the next point around, how do you give priority for the first steps of adoption to your teams? There are so many AI tools out there right now, and every week there is something new. It is very easy for a team to feel lost or overwhelmed by all these options that they're getting on a daily basis. As a leader, you cannot just go and tell your team, go use AI like that without giving them the right direction. They need a clear starting point and a reason to believe it will actually help them. What do you think leaders should focus on first when they want their teams to start using AI in a meaningful way?
I think it's a very complex situation, because you're taking a workforce that is not used to using AI in many occasions, in many examples. You have different kind of age ranges or experience ranges within your workforce. You have the younger generation fresh into the workplace that have probably spent the last number of years kind of cheating on their homework at school and college and university, and kind of very au fait with AI, and it's probably simpler for them. Then you have kind of, people who've been in the workplace about 10 years, probably missed out on the initial stages of AI and probably very keen to learn more and more about AI. Then you have the longer standing elements of your workforce that are maybe not as comfortable with AI or learning AI as potentially you would like them to be. So I think you have to come up with a plan for, how do you hit each part of your workforce. And I think that the first thing you've got to do is make sure that you are raising the visibility of AI. Again, why are we using AI? Why can it help us? Try and allay some of the fears around AI in terms of job replacement. So that's one of the first things you do need to focus on. And then it's more about, how do you give your employees the ability to be able to play with AI, learn AI, how to use AI, how to really leverage it, how to experiment with it in a safe environment, while still keeping control over data privacy, and what are they opening up to the market that they shouldn't be opening up to the market. So you've got to put some restrictions in place around what they can use and what they can do with company data. But you've also got to make it into a big sandpit where they can go and they can enjoy leveraging AI. So that would be your first stage. Once you've got the organization comfortable with seeing the value of it, you need to advertise it. And I think by advertising, you've got to make sure that people are getting comfortable with what AI can do for the team by promoting the successes. And I think that leads on to the next stage as well, which is then you start to, as we talked about earlier, then you start to think about, what are the business processes that we really need to focus on? What are the ones that are going to make a difference? Then you've got this organization that's comfortable with playing with AI. I've learned how to script. I've learned how to, provide more complex prompts within it, AI, and can start to then focus on a business problem and how they address a business problem on a day-to-day basis. So there's no easy answer to where do you start. It's a multi-phased approach where you have to really get the organization behind why you're doing it, let them get used to it, and then let them play, and then let them focus on a business process, and the business processes are going to work for them on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, and I think the point you raised around promoting the successes of AI within the teams are very important nowadays, because you want also to manage any resistance that probably will show up within teams. When you have people on your team who have been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years, they have earned their expertise, they know their stuff. So when AI comes along, it feels like someone is saying a machine can do what you do. This is not the message we want to send, of course, but the reality is some people do feel that way. My question to you, Simon, how do you help experienced teams embrace AI and see it as something that strengthens their impact rather than replaces their value?
You've got to really show them the benefits, show them how it's going to help them on a day-to-day basis. You've got to tackle that problem very early on and make sure they understand that they're not going to be replaced by this. To the contrary, it's going to help them actually expand their role, get deeper into their role, give them more time day to day to actually do the stuff that they're really good at, which is the strategizing, the deep thinking. How do we take the solution forward, the product forward, the problem forward? AI is great because it gives you that scale, as we talked about earlier. So if you think about where do we waste a lot of time today, it's about pulling information together. It's about putting the context together of the problem that you're trying to address. It's about going out, researching, pulling data together, pulling it all into a big file, and then thinking about what do I need to pull from that file that's relevant to the problem that I have now. AI can simplify that. It can bring all of that information together just with a good prompt, and it puts that at the fingertips of the person that's requesting it, so that they can then spend more of their time thinking about what's that data telling me? How's that relevant to what I want to achieve? If I did this, would it be better? If I did that, would that work? Would there be problems with that? So it really gives an individual the time to think better about what it is they are trying to achieve, as opposed to just doing data collection or routine tasks, which is where 75% of their time on a day-to-day basis is really wasted.
Yeah. You actually reminded me of a very good discussion I had with a senior technology executive yesterday, and it touches on the point between resistance and productivity gains, right? When AI is used by senior professionals. And the theory is when you use these tools, rather than saying, now we need less people, actually now you are more productive. You can take more projects, you can scale faster, you can cover more opportunities, you can go into new markets. So it actually also creates this opportunity for the people first to widen their opportunities that they can engage in, because now they are more productive, they have these tools, they can do more with less time, and at the same time puts the company in the forefront of the competitive edge against other companies, because now they can talk to more customers, they can serve more, and they can do more. And here where the skills point comes, and I want to ask you about it here, Simon. The skills that made someone successful 5 years ago are not exactly the same skills that will make them successful today. And I'm not just talking about the technical skills. I'm also talking about how people think, how they ask questions, and how they make decisions. AI is really changing what good looks like in so many roles. What skills do you think professionals need to build in the AI era, especially those in technical and customer-facing roles?
I don't think the skills have changed that much. Yes, there is an element of being able to leverage AI, but I think the same underlying skills are relevant. You have to make sure that you're able to provide scale, that you're able to quickly process the information that you have, that the AI is giving to you, but you still have to put the human element into it. So you still have to be able to take that data, make sure that that data is right, make sure that that approach is right, make sure that you're using your day-to-day experience to ensure that what is being presented is actually what the customer or what the project or what the solution is asking for. So you've got to have that analytical side to you. You've also got to have the flexibility. So I would say that, the best people in an organization are those that are the ones that are flexible, that can change roles very, very easily, can go from the old kind of way of doing things to a different way of doing things. The more variation, the better. That's not always comfortable for people to undertake. Some people are very happy doing their role on a day-to-day basis, getting deep into that role and not looking at other roles or other ways of doing things. I think with the advent of AI, you've got to be more flexible, more adaptable, and quicker to adapt. And I'd say that's probably my biggest learning. I think it's the adaptability that is really the skill that people are going to need to have moving forward. On a leadership side, I think it's the same skills. It's about thinking about how you leverage the team and how do you get the team to actually deliver against that problem. How do you educate the team to the point where they're thinking about AI and building AI into their day-to-day processes? But you still got to have that human touch. You still got to have that element of, AI can be very direct. It can be very straight in terms of how it responds to something. You've still got to bring, as an individual or as a leader, that compassionate piece into the way you present AI data and the way you you bring that into your projects or your solution. So don't lose the human touch. Keep that skill set.
And because leaders are also humans, I want to ask you about the common leadership mistakes. We are all figuring this out as we go. Nobody has the perfect playbook for AI adoption, but some mistakes keep showing up again and again. Maybe chasing the latest trend without a clear goal. Maybe it is expecting AI to fix problems for the teams that are really about processes or people. I think it helps to name these possible mistakes so others can avoid them. What are the biggest mistakes, Simon, you see leaders making today when it comes to AI for teams?
We're in a very difficult place at the moment. So we're still in the early stages of AI. Leaders are trying to prove business value purely by saying they are leveraging AI. And they're coming up with lots of creative ways of saying their business is transforming and they're getting huge amounts of successes from AI without actually seeing those successes. So there is a danger at the moment that we're investing a lot of money in AI and AI developments, which is the right thing to do. But the negative side of it is that we are looking at the organization and almost making up the successes as a excuse for reducing the organization and its kind of capability. So margin seems to be the kind of number one target that most businesses are looking for at the moment, where they are showing that AI is reducing their cost of delivery, therefore they don't need as many people. Instead of investing that time saved, and it has to be true time saved, not kind of fictitious time saved, instead of investing that time into just reaching more customers, reaching more business, more projects, they're intent on reducing the size of organization to demonstrate that they are winning in the AI era. I think we've gone through a period now where if you look at some of the earnings calls, the amount of times that AI was mentioned on the earnings call, the share price would real time go up as they were saying AI. I think we're through that now. I think people are less likely to believe that just because you say everything in my organization is AI, that you're going to see the benefit from it. Analysts in particular are now looking for the evidence. And we need to move away from this period of just making everything you've been doing today as a standard, you put an AI banner against it and saying, I've got AI savings. It's not. You only get AI savings when you actually find a business process that you can reformulate and actually deliver savings on. The point is not to try and make the data up, it's to actually show the benefits, show the value that has been received. We need to be very cautious about demonstrating or trying to say AI is far more popular or far more effective than it actually is at this stage. It will come, but it's not there yet. So don't try and force it. We're also thinking about how do we make our own processes far more effective so that our cost of delivery is lower without thinking about how's that going to translate to the customer? What does the customer want in all of this? What's their view on AI? So we seem to have a trend where we're moving towards let's help the customer automate and self-help far more than we need to do it for them. So our cost of delivery goes down. Customers don't necessarily want that. Example, how long has it taken us to get used to having IVR systems that are AI-led, where as soon as you pick up the phone, here is an AI IVR, you put the phone down straight away. People like to buy from people. They like to work with people. They like the human touch. They buy from you because they see the expertise that you as a person can bring. If you go too far and take that human element out of it, then you're really in a position where you're starting to lose your customers. And that's a dangerous place to be. And from a customer perspective, what do you as a customer want? You want cheaper prices. You want the same thing delivered more effectively, but cheaper. But we as an organization, whichever organization it may be, are thinking, I just want my margin higher and I want my cost of delivery down and I want to, enjoy that extra margin. So there is a disparity between what an organization is trying to do versus what a customer wants. Whether you like it or not, the market always balances out. If companies are selling themselves on the fact they're going to have much higher margins in the future because of AI, it won't happen because the market will balance and some of that value will be delivered to the customer. Otherwise, if you don't do it, your competitors will. So, the actual commoditization will take place and you won't see your margins getting, 20, 30% higher. You'll just see your competition outperforming you because they're actually sharing some of that margin with the customer.
And I think one of the top things leaders should do in this phase, where you have a technology coming, there is this hype that starts, within the companies and the market, and then it leads to the real value. The leaders can clear the fog always and point their teams toward the customer. Your customer is the king. The customer is why we're here. And your customer is the one that eventually will use or feel the productivity gains or will be happy with your better pricing or delivery time and so on. So it's very important to always point the teams there and tell them, look there, figure out what's going on, and then we see how we can use this AI to deliver all these values to our customers. I want to conclude with you actually on this topic. We have talked about a lot now about teams, tools, and technology, but what I want to end by, Simon, is focusing on the leaders themselves. Because at the end of the day, the leader sets the tone. They decide what gets attention, what gets resources, and what the culture looks like. And I think the type of leader who succeeds in the AI era must look different from what we are used to. Looking ahead, what qualities and mindsets do you think will define the most successful leaders in the AI era?
Keeping the best elements of leadership that we've always had, and that's about strategy. So start with strategy. What is your strategy as a business? What are you trying to achieve? How are you trying to drive your business? How are you trying to service your customers? And starting with that strategy is a step one. Then it's about how do you enable your organization to deliver against that strategy using AI as a tool to really benefit your business and your customers. We can use AI to huge amounts of benefit within the organization to make it simpler, more cost effective to deliver. We may need to make sure the organization is really in a position to be able to absorb that. So it's about culture as well. It's about putting that safe environment in place where you get your organization leveraging AI, not fearing it, thinking about it as a way of helping you improve as an individual, as opposed to it's going to replace my job.
Yes, we have seen many technology transitions, Simon, during the years, and I think leaders who got the right strategy, as you said, always going back to their strategy, will eventually succeed. The strategy towards working with their customers, the strategy towards building effective teams, the strategy around how do you use the right tools and solve the right problems, all that definitely will lead to great results at the end. So, Simon, I really want to thank you for your time and for sharing such practical, grounded advice with us today. It has been a fantastic discussion, and I know our listeners will take away a lot of actionable insights for their own teams. Thank you very much again. This is all the time we have for today. If there is one takeaway from this conversation, it is that leading in the AI era is not about understanding every line of code or chasing every new trend. It is about enabling your people. The leaders who will win in the next decade are the ones who create a culture of curiosity, who help their teams use AI to amplify their human judgment, and who stay laser-focused on real business value rather than the hype. If you enjoyed this conversation, please make sure to subscribe to MANinaCUBE on YouTube and follow our page on LinkedIn so you never miss an episode. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next cube.